Ladies and gentlemen, we on the opposition bench strongly believe that forcing a political competency test for all candidates is not the right way to improve democracy. Instead of solving problems, this policy creates new barriers, kills political diversity, and actually weakens democracy itself. Let's begin with two main things we want to argue. First, why this policy creates an unfair and exclusive political system, and second, why the root of the problem isn't lack of knowledge, but lack of connection between the government and the people. Before we get into our arguments, let's respond to a few key ideas from the government bench. They say there is political nihilism or a loss of trust in the government, and that their policy will fix it. But we ask, how do you fix trust by telling people they're not smart enough to run for office? When you make a rule that only the smart or qualified people can run, you silence the voice of the ordinary citizens. That's not solving the trust issues, it's making people feel even more excluded. Now let's move into our first argument. Political competency tests create an elitist democracy. In theory, testing politicians on economy, law, or sociology may sound good. But in reality, who gets to decide what's competent? If we use written tests or exam, that's already unfair to people who come from less privileged educational backgrounds. A former labor activist or community organizer might have deep lived experience about society, but they may not have not passed a formal test. Should that disqualify them? We say no. This policy would turn politics into a game for the elite, where only those with academic or professional experience can participate. In other words, it makes democracy less about people and more about resumes. Let's not forget, many great leaders in history didn't come from rich or academic backgrounds. People like Nelson Mandela or Abraham Lincoln did not go through a political exam, but they led with values, vision, and connection to the people. Second argument, this policy does not fix the real problem of distrust. The government bench thinks that the reason people don't trust politicians is because they are not smart enough. But we believe the problem is deeper. People lose trust because politicians don't listen. They lie, or they only care about power. A competency test doesn't fix that. Let's say a politician passes the test and has all the knowledge. That doesn't guarantee they will be honest, caring, and accountable. Intelligence is not the same as integrity. In fact, some of the most corrupt leaders in the world are highly educated. What we need is not more tests, but more connection between politicians and the people. Instead of testing, we should invest in civic education, community dialogue, and transparent policies that builds trust, not a score on paper. Third argument, this will reduce political participation and worsen polarization. When you tell people they can't run unless they pass a test, many will feel discouraged. People from minority communities, rural areas, or marginalized background will think, why even try? That's dangerous. Democracy is about equal opportunity, not just for the most qualified by academic standards, but for all. What's worse is that the system may backfire. People might start distrusting the test itself, seeing it as a tool to block certain group for entering politics. That creates more division and makes people believe the system is rigid. You might end up with more radical leaders who reject the system entirely and gain support from people who feel ignored. Also, let's talk about the logistics. Who will design the test? What if it's biased? What if it favors certain ideologies or parties? We risk turning politics into a technocracy, ruled not by the people, but by those who pass a written test. Ladies and gentlemen, on the government side, they want to sort out bad politicians. But in a democracy, it's not the test that decides who's good or bad. It's about the people. If someone not competent, people won't vote for them again. The real accountability comes from elections, free press, and public pressures, not from gatekeeping who gets to run. So, what are the impact of our side? We protect the right of every citizen to run for office, no matter their background. We encourage more diverse political participation where different communities can be represented. We fight the real root of distrust by promoting honest dialogue, community engagement, and transparency, not by putting up more walls. In conclusion, the government bans give you a world where only the smart get to lead. We give you a world where everyone has a chance, where leadership is based not just on book knowledge, but on lived experience, characters, and the will to serve the people. That's why we are proud to oppose this motion. That's all. Thank you.